Thank you for watching NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. In the news today, Kafu Kanamibia's wife withdraws assault case, NamPower opts for survival over politics, Prosecutor General sends team to South Africa after Fishrot paymaster bail hearing. I am Glenn Rashipura, and this is NMH at 1. In our midday news update, Anatolia Petrus, 29, and Ruauha Pinhas, 33, appeared in Oshakati Magistrates Court this morning for allegedly raping a 22-year-old man who is mentally challenged between May and June this year at Omige village in Oshana region. The two would allegedly lure the victim to their homes and use him for their sexual pleasures. They were denied bail due to alarming rape cases in the country, and State Prosecutor UK Kangira said there is too much outstanding evidence in the case. Magistrate Mose Yassan postponed the case to the 28th of September 2023. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break. Good evening and welcome to Sunset News.
Dutch States List A in a speech, rate and taxes, and how much.
After the break, we take a look at the sports.
We bring you
economic indicators, tomorrow's weather, and sports. I am Aina Raiza Kweyong.
Let's take a look at our visual news. As part of its Rural Schools project, telecommunications giant MTC handed over 4 newly constructed classrooms and 1 storeroom to Groendry Primary School situated on a farm southwest of Rehoboth. Deputy Minister of Education Faustina Kale inaugurated the new infrastructure.
Where in our education system we will have learners in our schools that are serious with their education, who are learning, and teachers in our schools that are serious with their work, who are teaching. I want to see a situation where we have principals in our schools that are always provide quality leadership. I want to see parents that are supporting the education of their children. I want to see an enhanced and integrated public-private partnership where our partners are moving along with us, mitigating the challenges we face in our education system. Let me use this opportunity to call for a renewed spirit, a new spirit of patriotism, as MTC show us, a new spirit of hard work, a new spirit of understanding that the challenges we face as a nation can hurt us all unless we stand together and work together in harmony. Let me thank MTC Namibia for this generous and very important donation. Today, you have planted a seed, and the products from this seed will be productive citizens of our beloved country, Namibia. I implore on all of us, as recipients of this noble gesture, to take care of this building, of this infrastructure, and ensure that it is well maintained to ensure its durability. I now have the single honor and privilege not to receive these classrooms officially, which will be inaugurated today. I receive it on behalf of the community of Groendry Primary School.
Workers at NamDoc in Balvis Bay on Wednesday morning held a gathering outside the NamDoc premises and demanded an audience with the company CEO, Albertus Carico. Led by the Namibia Public Workers Union, the group wished to express their dissatisfaction on a range of burning matters such as salary discrepancies, discrimination, and a lack of communication. The workers accused the company of negligence and refusing to listen to their needs. They were reportedly told Carico is in Angola. Let's take a look.
That's all we are asking for, isn't it? Yes, okay. So I think that's what is important. Until such a time they come back to us, and if they want, then maybe they are purchasing tickets to us to go to Angola also. It's also good. Then we can fly on. Yes. Yeah. That's just all about zero. Yeah. So we also want to be in the plane. Also. Yeah. So let's wait until they tell us what is the next move.
A former member of the then Southwest African Territorial Forces brought a court application last month. An update on this story follows in the newspaper review segment.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Let's take a look at what's inside the daily newspapers. The Namibian Sun's front page reports that Willem Beekers requested the High Court to review the Veterans Act of 2008 and the Veterans Amendment Act 3 of 2013. However, the application was withdrawn on Tuesday after the United Swaft Veterans Organization of Namibia revealed that Beekers acted in isolation and filed the case without the Executive Committee members' approval and permission. In Beekers' statement submitted before the case was withdrawn, he argued that the law conflicts with the Namibian Constitution, which promotes unity, freedom, peace, and stability. On page 3, a SWAPO party foot soldier in the Kavango West region, Simuku Paulus Karambera, has been struck from the roll. Karambera, well known as Kafu Kanamibia, was arrested for allegedly assaulting his wife, Vistolin Nangafa Mandume, last July. He faced a count of assault with the intent to cause gross bodily harm, read with the Domestic Violence Act. Karambera was granted bail of $2,000 million by the Rundu Magistrate Court. At the time, the matter came before the Kahenge Periodic Court for plea and trial yesterday. However, the victim did not show up. Namibian Sun understand that she withdrew the case. Magistrate Mureshi Kongo granted the withdrawal of the case from the roll. Republican informs that the government will soon establish a law to prohibit the recognition of same-sex marriages. The Prime Minister, Saraku Kongwela Amadila, announced this in the National Assembly. Only marriages between men and women will be recognized. Given the importance of the matter, the government will bring a bill to this House to convince Parliament to pass an Act of Parliament in terms of Article 14 of the Constitution. On page 2, while most entries in Phase 2 of the Capricorn Foundation Food Waste Challenge were received from Namibia and Botswana, the top 5 all hail from here, with the 2 finalists from the capital, one from Rundu and one from Opuwo and one from Walvis Bay. The finalists will now receive mentoring from Business Box for the teams to prepare for the final round of judging. The challenge called on the public to enter the solutions to create self-sufficient social enterprises to address the issue of food waste in Namibia and to create employment. The Impact Tank Analysis Foundation from Windhoek, with team leader Johanna Shihepo, proposes to address the challenges faced by communities in terms of food waste through greenhouse gas emissions. Our organization came up with a business idea of composting food waste that occurs at a household level, retail establishments, and the food service industry in Namibia using iCompost technology that composts organic waste in just 6 hours, she said. On its front page, the Allgemeine Zeitung today leads with an article about the High Court, which ruled last month in favor of the Namibian Airports Corporation that no new contract had been signed between it and the Menzies Aviation, which currently still handles ground handling services at HKAI. Now the Supreme Court is expected to settle the dispute. On page 3 of the Allgemeine Zeitung, for years, the state-owned utility has complained about weak payment practices on the part of Namibian local authorities. As a consequence, NamPower has now temporarily cut off the electricity supply to some localities, which promptly led to political interference. The public is complaining, but so far the state-owned company remains strong. We continue with our newspaper review after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday.
We continue with our newspaper review. The Namibian newspaper reports that NamPower executives have proposed that the electricity utility should write off $29 million in debt of a company which used to power Combat and has ties to businessman Knowledge Kati and Executive Director of Sport, Youth and National Services Erastus Haitengela. NamPower's board of directors is allegedly considering the proposal. This comes days after the power utility decided to implement blackouts in towns and regions with outstanding electricity accounts. NamPower's blackout decision confirmed this to the Namibian yesterday. She said the team left Namibia for SA on Tuesday. The clerk was due to appear in the after the Namibian authorities requested his extradition. The clerk first appeared in court on Monday and his case was postponed to yesterday. On New Era's front page, the directors and management of the National Power Utility have resolved to proceed with a planned power suspensions that commence on Monday for indebted local authorities as per its debt collection plan. This is despite NamPower having received a cabinet directive to put the decision on hold, pending further consultation between the Finance Ministry, Urban and Rural Development Ministry, as well as local authorities. In a statement issued yesterday, NamPower confirmed receiving the cabinet directive, but noted that after due consideration, the board unanimously decided to exercise its fiduciary responsibilities towards the company and to protect the interests of the company and its stakeholders. On page 3, one of the main accused in the Fishrot corruption saga, James Hautukilipi, is challenging a portion of the Prevention of Organized Crime Act, saying it is unconstitutional. In the matter heard in the High Court yesterday before High Court Judge Shifamina Uitele, Herman Oosthuizen and Acting Judge Collins Parker, he is asking the court to declare the words, or it appears to the court that there are reasonable grounds for believing that a confiscation order may be made against that defendant as unconstitutional and to strike it down. He further wants the court to declare Section 25(2) as unconstitutional as the reference therein does not expressly exclude the impugned words. In addition, he wants the High Court to declare that any restraining order made against him in terms of the impugned words is unconstitutional and set aside. MarketWatch reports that signals of global trade still show signs of activity slowing down. The World Trade Organization recorded a decrease in the volume of world merchandise trade of 0.8% year-on-year in the fourth quarter. Preliminary data suggests that the first quarter of 2023 will remain depressed as well, according to Samini Storm. However, the WTO forecasts that the second quarter of 2023 will be the turning point for trade activity. SA troubles are mounting, IMF warns. More on this story in Economic News after the break.
Ek is Corretti Du Plessis.
My name is Kafu Kanamibia. My name is Justice Shahama. I am Namibian.
Hallo, ek is Damien Stevens.
En ek is 'n Namibianer in Nederland.
Bly tans in New Orleans in Amerika.
In huidelik in beautiful Toronto, Canada. Currently part of So I'm currently based in South Carolina in the US.
Getting into our economic news, the International Monetary Fund has warned that South Africa faces mounting economic and social challenges as economic growth recedes, consumer and business sentiment remain weak, and energy and logistics crisis deepen. It also warns that in several respects, it expects government finances to get worse in the medium term due to intensified electricity cuts, lower tax revenue, greater spending pressure from higher than anticipated wages, and higher borrowing costs for the government. The IMF doubts that Finance Minister Enoch Godwana will achieve two of the most important targets he set in the February budget: to reduce the fiscal deficit and to stabilize the country's debt burden by 2025 to 2026. It estimates that the debt to GDP ratio is at 70%. Stabilization of the debt is imperative for government to reduce debt service costs and free up resources for social spending. The IMF's key recommendation is that to get public finances on track and bring down debt, further fiscal consolidation, predominantly in the form of cuts to expenditure equal to about 3% of GDP, will be necessary. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.94, against the euro at 20.61, and 2 Namibian dollars and 69 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. First rand went up on the NSX stock closing at 0.01%. Overall index went up 1.32%. Zinc went up 2.56%. Brent crude oil went up also at 1.01%, trading at $77.66 per barrel. UN official urges responsible withdrawal from DRC. Stay with NMH at 1 for an update on this story.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
We bring jou liefs die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle monster gaan byt.
Let's take a look at the news from across Africa. A top UN official said on Wednesday that peacekeepers should withdraw from the DRC as quickly as possible, yet responsibly. Speaking in the capital, Kinshasa, during a visit to the DRC, the UN official added that the Congolese state should step up its response to the armed groups that plague the east of the country. We're going to continue this work and at the same time work with the Congolese authorities so that, as I said, the process of the Congolese state becoming more powerful will enable us to gradually reduce MONUSCO's presence, but to do so responsibly. Once again, I would like to stress that there must be no security vacuum which would be fatal to these populations, said Jean-Pierre Lacroix, UN Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations. The UN official also acknowledged the frustration with the peacekeepers as the levels of insecurity remain alarmingly high in the country, particularly in the east. Everyone has been concerned by the violence that occurred during recent demonstrations. Many of our interlocutors are concerned about hate speech, xenophobic rhetoric, misogynistic rhetoric, and discourse based on ethnic confrontation, and of course, it is essential to put an end to such rhetoric, concluded the UN Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations. The UN peacekeeping force in the Democratic Republic of Congo, known as MONUSCO, is one of the largest and costliest in the world, with an annual budget of around $1 billion. It has been present in the country since 1999. After the break, we get into your international news. Monsoon rains reached India's southernmost Kerala coast on Thursday, offering relief to farmers after a delay of more than a week, marking their latest arrival in 7 years. The monsoon, the lifeblood of the country's $3 trillion economy, delivers nearly 70% of the rain India needs to water farms and recharge reservoirs and aquifers. In the absence of irrigation systems, nearly half of India's farmland depends on the June-September rains, and their late arrival could delay the planting of rice, cotton, corn, soybean, and sugarcane, traders said. Now, southwest monsoon has set in over Kerala today against the normal date of 1st June. The state-run India Meteorological Department said in a statement, this year, the IMD had expected the arrival of monsoon rains over the state's coast on June 4th, but the formation of a severe cyclonic storm Bijaporye in the Arabian Sea delayed their onset. The IMD confirms the monsoon has begun after taking into account rainfall measured at weather stations and the southern state of Kerala and westerly wind speeds. Conditions are favorable for the monsoon to further advance into the central Arabian Sea and some parts of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka states, the IMD said. After the break, we get into your local and international sports news.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. We bring jou latest
weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle mondstuk gaan byt.
Let's take a look at our local sports news. Namibian Electronic Sports Association today hosted Namibia's first game of the IESF, International Esports Federation African Qualifiers Mobile Legends Bank Tournament. The Namibian MLBB team faced South Africa to determine who will go to the 15th World Esports Championships finals. Namibia's MLBB won 3-0 and will be headed to the finals in Lassi, Romania. The 26-year-old Russell Cook, Britain's hardest geezer, arrived in Windhoek 14 days ago from Cape Agulhas and 1,677 kilometers per foot. Cook is now about 700 kilometers north of the capital on his way to Angola, but in the meantime, he wanted to see a doctor because of constant blood in his urine. After the break, we get into your international sports news.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's take a look at our international sports news. Jarrod Bowen slid home a 90th minute winner as West Ham United secured a last-gasp 2-1 victory over Fiorentina in the Europa Conference League final on Wednesday to clinch a first major European trophy in over half a century. The match at Prague's Eden Arena looked like it was heading to extra time when Lucas Paqueta slipped a ball through to Bowen, who outpaced the defenders and fired past Fiorentina's keeper Pietro Terracciano. Lionel Messi on Wednesday announced that he intends to join Major League Soccer side Inter Miami as a free agent after parting ways with French champions Paris Saint-Germain and snubbing a lucrative contract offer in Saudi Arabia. Messi, who played his final game for PSG over the weekend, was also linked with a return to Barcelona, but the Spanish club have had their hands tied due to La Liga's financial fair play rules. The Chiefs have a score to settle against the Reds in the Super Rugby Pacific quarterfinals this weekend when the New Zealanders look to avenge their only defeat this campaign. The Reds denied the Chiefs a 100% record with a 25-22 win last month, but still, the Chiefs finished the regular season 11 points clear in the table. With the semi-final berth now at stake, the New Zealand team want payback in front of their fans in Hamilton on Saturday. After the break, we get into your highlights. Do stay with us.
Ek is Corretti Du Plessis.
My name is Justice Shehama. I am Namibian.
Hallo, ek is Damien Stevens.
En ek is 'n Namibianer in Nederland.
Bly tans in New Orleans in Amerika.
In Heidelberg in beautiful Toronto, Canada. Currently part of... So I'm currently based in South Carolina in the US.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
You are still watching NMH at 1, and here are the news highlights from today's broadcast. A top UN official said on Wednesday that peacekeepers should withdraw from the DRC as quickly as possible, yet responsibly. Monsoon rains reached India's southernmost Kerala coast on Thursday, offering relief to farmers after a delay of more than a week, marking their latest arrival in 7 years. Namibian Electronic Sports Association today hosted Namibia's first game of the IESF International Esports Federation African Qualifiers Mobile Legends Bang Bang Tournament. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports, and international headlines. I am Glenn Rashipura. Until next time.